To pick up that point with Professor Nick Bateman. He's from the University of Edinburgh. He's a leading toxicologist. He's looked at this drug. He knows all about it. Welcome to the programme. Thanks very much for joining us. Professor Bateman, welcome. I don't know whether you heard Jenny there. Jenny was saying nothing else touches her pain like Coproxamol. We've had an email from Holly saying that it makes her lead a normal life, nothing else works better. We've had something else from a viewer. I felt really desperate because I can't do anything physical at all now. I can't get it. What kind of a life is that? This drug does make a difference to people, doesn't it?
Well, that's a very interesting point, because the scientific evidence that we've looked at actually doesn't show the effect your listeners and what viewers are seeing. Unfortunately, there are many other drugs like Coproxamol which are effective, but fortunately they're certainly not as poisonous, and that's the big difference here. We have to weigh up safety against benefit, and the manufacturers of this drug really couldn't come up with the evidence that would have kept it on the market in the way your viewers have asked. The truth is that in the UK for the past 10 years or more, somewhere between 200 and 300 people have been dying every year from accidental ingestion, perhaps from overdose, many of them old or confused or vulnerable young people, often people who weren't actually prescribed the drug at all. And that's the target of this change that was made in 2005 originally.
All right.
And it's been 3 years since doctors have had an opportunity to change this prescription. And as you say, unfortunately, sometimes it's gone wrong. And I'm very sorry for the patients who are suffering, because as you said also, there's really no need for them to suffer in the way in which you've described.
Professor Bateman, if I could just, I've got your report in front of me, the report that you wrote on this drug, and you're talking about the number of poisoning deaths that dropped because Coproxamol's licence was revoked. But looking at your report, and it does only focus on poisoning deaths in Scotland, it says it's unclear total poisoning deaths began to fall in 2005 earlier than the full impact on Coproxamol deaths. In other words, the number of people dying from accidental overdoses was falling anyway.
That's not quite the case, actually.
But this is what it says in your own report, though.
You know, what it says is that if you look at the years before this year you're talking about, there were variabilities year on year, and on average we're talking about somewhere between 200 and 300 patients. It's very dangerous to take 1 year in isolation, and we did statistical tests to show the difference year on year over a longer period. So I think there's perhaps a misunderstanding there, and if you look at later on, you'll see that last year there are in fact only about 10 patients, as opposed to 40, died in Scotland from this drug. So it's a major impact, and the same thing's happened in England and Wales too. The data's not been published yet, but something like 200 to 300 lives are being saved every year. And if you look at that over the lifetime of Coproxamol, perhaps 4,000 to 5,000 patients have died who needn't. So right. The odds stack enormously against what you're suggesting.
Professor Bateman, thanks for your time. Professor Nick Bateman joining us there from Edinburgh. If you have any thoughts on that, lots of you are emailing in because you take Coproxamol and you would like to continue taking it, or because your GP are saying that you can't have it anymore. Do keep your thoughts coming in. We'll read them out throughout the programme.